This is another Read Me Something reward for Reich E. Spore's Patreon. We are reading from my Oz-based novel, Polychrome, Chapter 50. I tried to keep myself under control as Amanita approached, the beautiful emerald eyes glittering with greed and insanity. But to stand still while someone put a knife, a really long, sharp obsidian knife, into me wasn't something I'd quite been able to prepare myself for. At the last moment, as the four monsters sounded a thundering drone that rose like a trumpet of doom, and Queen Amanita brought up the knife, I closed my eyes. There was an impact that drove me backwards, and for an instant I wondered that I felt no pain. But even as I opened my eyes, I knew with rising horror what I was going to see, because in the instant before I smelled a wash of summer rain and spring flowers eternal. She had been driven against me and was beginning to fall, and I got my bound hands under her, sagging to the ground not with her weight, but with the realization that the great knife had struck her fully. Somehow I broke the cloth on my wrists, stronger far than I'd been when I left Earth, and yanked the gag down. "Polychrome!" I screamed and cradled her in my arms. "No, no, no, no!" The stain was spreading all across, and the glorious eyes looked stunned and afraid. "Well, that ruins the ritual completely. We'll have to start over from the beginning," Amanita said, and I felt a fury burning within me, but distantly, for all my attention was riveted on Polly, trying to staunch the bleeding. It didn't hit her heart, not quite. She came in from the side. It's not instantly fatal. Maybe. Amanita started to gesture to the guards, but then I heard Ugu's voice. "Nay, Amanita, you have parts of the circle to prepare again. The candles needs must be doused and re-prepared, other small things that only you can do. It is his death we prepare for him. At the least, I shall give him this time to mourn." But I barely registered any of this. All that mattered was the fairy princess who had brought me to wonder, and now was going pale before me. "No, Polly, no, God, Polychrome, why? All that mattered to me was that you were going to live. That's all. Why did you do this? Why?" And then she smiled softly as though she felt no pain, and answered in a voice that only I could hear. "Because I love you, Eric, and all that mattered to me was that you would live." "You love me?" I repeated, and for a moment I could not imagine the meaning in those words. And then the meaning burst in, and I found myself sobbing. "Oh, no, Polychrome, Polly, oh God, I've given anything at all to hear you say those words. And now I'd give anything never to have heard them, if it means—" Her hand came up and touched my lips. "Shh, Eric. I've been so very blind, love. You were telling me you loved me almost from the moment we met. I just didn't hear it behind the words you used." I tried to speak, and the fingers touched me again. No, Eric. We've both been fools, and—" She winced. "We've wasted so very much time. Please, don't waste the time we have left." Her hand rose, curled behind my head. I felt as though my heart was about to shatter as I understood. And then we kissed. And it lasted for an instant, and for what seemed to be beyond forever. And for just that timeless eternity, I knew that she did love me, that Polychrome Glory, daughter of the rainbow, had somehow fallen in love with me, and that there was no other wish or desire I could imagine having, except for it not to come to an end. And it was over, and her lovely hand sliding down, falling, the violet stormy eyes clouded with pain, and her breath coming in quick gasps. "Now, Eric, please, do what we came here to do. Her hand dropped to the ground, and her eyes shut, and one last breath escaped. I screamed again, for there was no pulse, no breathing, nothing. Please, Polly, please. I could barely speak, and what was the point, for there was no one left to hear. Please, no. I can't do it, Polly. They still have our other friends, Zenga, Regado, Nimbus. And even if they didn't, how could I? How could I do that now when they've just ripped out my... And then I understood. For one terrible moment I hated them all, Iris, the damned pink bear, Nimbus, all those who must have known. A laugh escaped me, an ugly sound, and more like another sob than anything else. The preparations are complete, Ugu said quietly, and looked down at me. Come, let us end this. Oh, we'll end this, but not the way you think. Slowly I lowered Polychrome to the ground, feeling wetness across my chest as well as my face as I did so, and took a deep breath. Ozma, I said, my voice barely a whisper, and the words came to me as though I had known them all along. I, a mortal man, bathed in the blood of my heart, called to thee. Give me the power to set right what is wrong, and I let my voice rise to its full volume, and wipe these monsters from the face of fairy! Ugu shot to his feet, shock and dawning understanding on his face. What? I reached back and slammed my hand into the face of the shining pyramid. Come forth! The world exploded in light. It dissolved everything around me, a seething, burning, multicolored fountain of corrosive luminance so hateful that I wanted to shrink back. But I stood my ground, and the light flowed past and shimmered more softly, and slowly, within the light, beyond the light, a figure was coming forward. I stood in an abyss of brilliance on a path of pure darkness, and the darkness rose up, radiating from me, I realized, as light from a candle, dispelling the roiling light as the sun wipes away the fog, and the figure became clearer, a girl, with hair the color of midnight and the depth of dreams, a single crimson flower twined in her hair, and a face as lovely as the one I had just laid down. For a moment she was as stern and proud as any queen emerging from a prison, prepared to face her enemies. But then her eyes found mine, her expression softened, her arms were held out, and I realized somehow that she knew me. Oh, Eric, she said, and her voice was as a ringing of bells, I have seen your loss, and I grieve. I wanted nothing more than to take that embrace and cry and run away, take refuge from what I did not dare face, what I had just won and left behind at the same time. And I could not do that. Not yet. And just knowing that was nearly enough to break me. No, I said, and took a step back, my voice cracked and desperate. No, Ozma. No sympathy, no pity, no comfort, none. Or I'll lose all the control I have, and all of this will be for nothing. Maybe later, if there is a later for me. But for now, I bared my teeth in a grin that had not a trace of humor. Finish this. She nodded gravely, eyes filled with crystal tears, and took my hand. And as white-hot fire burned through me, I opened my eyes and screamed.